Hello, everyone. I'm Eljay, and today I'm sitting down with CZQ, one of the head runners of the BioCup 2020. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's summertime, and that means it's hot, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
But
you're telling me. My the AC in our house broke during the heat wave.
oh no. See, I can somewhat relate because I've got a ceiling fan, and I installed it like 3, 4 years ago, and it broke after like a year. So I've just never really used it, and I've been alternating between different like desk fans. Like, hey, please work. Haha, psych. Okay, time for a new one. Hey, please work. Haha, psych. So I understand the issues with that. All right, today we're here to discuss BioCup 2020. It is a construction mock contest that ran on Flickr, and it recently ended. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. Please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit how you got involved in the community.
Thank you. So my name is Mitch Henry. People just call me Mitch. Um, I I started in the community in 2011-ish. I began on mock pages because I've always been into like bionicle stuff, and a cousin of mine who doesn't build anymore, but he used to do like the big ship like September building challenges.
Mm-hmm.
He told me about mock pages back then, so I joined then, and then I took a couple years break near the end of 2013, I think, and I came back in like the end of 2016. But when I came back, I joined Flickr, and then I've been going since then, and it's been nice. I mean, I've made a lot more friends. I'm feeling really good about things I'm making. I feel like I've really come a long way since joining Flickr, and it's been in some ways some of the best years of my life.
Okay. Interesting. I've always known Flickr was a community presence. Like, it's obviously a large image hosting site, but I personally have never had a lot of experience with it. So hearing that is interesting to me because it's just another part of the community that I just did not know the ins and outs of, and it's cool to hear. And of course, further, it's cool to have a large scale contest on Flickr, namely BioCup. So I guess that leads us to our next question. What is BioCup and how long has it been running for?
So BioCup is a construction-based contest that actually began on mock pages about the
Hmm.
time that I joined it. I want to say maybe a year after I joined, or sometime around then. Um, it began on mock pages, and it was run by Yuri Facio and a couple other people who were, if they weren't admins or moderators of mock pages, they were kind of respected community members. And when they started it, um, they said that it really only existed to boost Bionicle activity on the website during the summer months when everyone basically had off. And it went from 2011 to 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and then it they stopped it. I think just because mock pages was just like hemorrhaging traffic at that point. Excuse me. And when I came back in 2016 and I joined Flickr, um, I was just kind of feeling like a high ish of like seeing all these awesome mocks and like kind of coming back into it, and something that I had missed and something I really cared about. That I was just like really excited to like want to participate in the community, and I suggested on a whim doing any contest, and the one I named was BioCup, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple people like respected community members like Cesium, Lord Oblivion, and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were really on board with the idea, so they really helped me out with actually running the first one in 2017. And without them, we wouldn't have gotten it off the ground. Since we began on Flickr, the contest has moved away sort of from just boosting activity and more into like pushing what the medium, so to speak, can do. Really like pushing to find like really the best of the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this year, do you feel like that goal was achieved? I mean, I've seen some incredible mocks coming from BioCup. Like, obviously, I've tried to follow along as closely as I could, and unfortunately, I haven't kept up with it as much as I would like. Like, I only just found out today, speaking with you, oh, hey, it's over. Awesome. But even still, I've gotten the opportunity to see so many unbelievable creations, some of which we're going to talk about in just a few moments. But overall, do you think this one went well? Do you think that you guys found the best of the best?
I think this one went incredibly well. In terms of mock quality, I think this is bar none the best BioCup that's ever been. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when when we were, you know, during the process of like making themes, we always have to like think of, how can this theme, get a good like is it possible to make good mocks with this theme? Because sometimes themes are too vague or sometimes themes are too specific. And you don't want people building something very, very specific because then you're just limiting their creativity. What you're aiming for is something that has nice, like it's easy to understand but allows for a lot of interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think this year, maybe more than any, our themes did a really good job of that. And if you look at like especially round two, the regional mythology and folklore round, I think every single mock made for that was just absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It there's I remember when it was done, the judges all said like this is the best round we've ever done.
That's fantastic. Because, yeah, I really tried to keep up. That's kind of where I dropped off. But even still, like, people will post it elsewhere. Like, they'll be outside of Flickr and you get to see some of what people are making. And it's just these fantastical creations that are, of course, some of them are large scale. I mean, a lot of them are large scale. And that really goes to show the versatility of not only the pieces, but the creativity of these mockists and how well they can represent what they're trying to make and utilizing the parts that they have in such fantastical ways. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
actually a pretty good bridge into what some of your favorite entries were. We've got a few of them here, so let's go ahead and start from the top and kind of talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, sure. So the first one we have here is by Corn Builder, and is titled NE37 Mobile Farm. This was for the preliminary round, which was just simply the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this was actually the first. I think this is the first theme we've ever done that was a theme in a former contest, but for a different round, and it produced some. Like, again, I'm going to say this a lot, but it produced some really, really incredible results. So the idea with this one is that his vision of the future is that the world at large is like unlivable, or it says most land is now untenable. So the idea for this is like a mobile walking farm. And looking at like some of the details here, you have like the spider insect legs. You have a big drum on the back with this little water canister on the end, and then inside the body of the machine is this dome with plants and other things inside of it, which is not only an excellent interpretation of the theme, but it really plays to his strengths because Corn Builder is very good with Technic mocks and vehicle things. He was at Brick Fair last year, and he just had a ton of these like large Technic cars, and he had a big Technic Nui Jaga that ended up winning best Technic mock.
Oh man, I don't
And
even
like,
remember it that year.
oh,
Gosh.
it was great, and it was like it had like power functions and everything, right?
Oh.
So, so yeah, it's so cool to see him like work to his strengths and like work with machines and not necessarily like kind of character stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because like his vehicles are, in my opinion, far outweigh his other work. But and this mock, while it's simple on the surface and uses a lot of like pretty simplistic techniques, um, looking at it closer, you can see a lot of other like really cool things. Like inside the dome, around the leaves,
Mm-hmm.
you can see like a Mari tube wrapped around, kind of like like a water sprinkler. And so you
Oh.
can kind of imagine that that drum is filled with water, and as it flows into the like the dome, it's fed through that Mari tube. Yeah, it's just like little details like that kind of really bring it to life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. No, that is incredible. Because, yeah, I mean, I look at it, I'm like, wow, that's a really cool looking design. But the way you break it down makes it even more fascinating. And for something that looks like kind of small, like you hold it in your hand, it's so dense and complex. And that just really lends to the strength of this creation.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. So this next one, it kind of blew me away when I first saw it because of just the sheer creativity in parts usage. Uh, Go ahead and talk a little bit about this one.
Okay, so this one is by VB and it's called the Anito, and this was made for round two, which I mentioned earlier, the regional mythology and folklore. So his the he had I believe he had Southeast Asia, and he the Anito is from the Philippines. I don't know too much about the actual creature itself, but the way he's built this, so he's got a lot of these different like key points of interest that are kind of all in this one image. So you have these like rolling green hills, you have all the plants, like the brighter green leaves,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of like dead grass or like the hay that's kind of off on the side.
Yeah,
Some
like the
like little
wheat
wispy
almost.
things. Yeah, kind of like built out of like bone pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the heads, just these like rock sculptures, and then you have the actual creature itself sitting on top of one of the heads. And they're each very distinct. They're each very like recognizably different from the other parts, so they don't compete for your attention. And they're arranged in such a way that they're kind of leading your eye up into the Anito itself,
Mm-hmm.
which is just beyond just being an incredible mock is just good presentation. Oh, there's a lot to talk about with this mock. It's very simplistic. Like the Anito itself is not a terribly complex build. It looks it because it has so many like moving parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you like take a deeper dive, it's pretty basic techniques, but all those flowing elements really like gives it some dynamism and some life. And the sharp color contrast really goes a long way. You really see those sharp, bright, beady eyes looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the sculptures are just incredible. There's so much life in them. Ironic, they're, they're stone sculptures, but there's just like great part usage throughout them. There's like using those wheels as teeth, like all those half cylinders for the long nose on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Just really incredible, really expressive designs on them. And then going back down into the plants a bit, I really love the like the little slopes for the dark green grassy hills. Not a lot of those pieces are connected. They're just kind of put down on the ground, but the way he's arranged them has made for nice, very easy to look at uh, sloped hill surface, and it's using so many cool parts in there. Like you can see uh, Toa Iruni's mask in dark green that came on that Mari Torin, whose name is escaping me.
Mm-hmm. Defilak,
Um,
yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. And then you can see the green Agori's mask on the far left, and two Midgard serpent heads from the Lego Vikings theme. I'm always happy to see that piece. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's it's unique. It's cool looking. It's not seen very often, so I always like seeing it.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of didn't even notice Tarduk's helmet or Defilak's mask until you mentioned them. Like they
Oh yeah,
just
they don't bring
work so
attention to
well.
themselves. Yeah, yeah.
Goodness.
It's the strange irony that using using something really creative, like in a really creative way, often most appreciated when you don't know it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also speaks very well to these heads, of course, because I noticed on the head on the right, for the teeth, it uses those kind of wheels. And it's great because I just spent a lot of time looking at those wheels because I just finished up a review with an alternate model that uses those pieces. So knowing how I've seen them used and how I'm accustomed to them on the Destral cycle, looking at them here, they're not used in that dissimilar a fashion, but their implementation and the context surrounding it completely reinvents them and allows them such greater purpose for this creation. It's just really cool to see that parts usage in, again, a similar method, but completely retextualized to give it a completely different atmosphere and feeling. Absolutely stellar creation. All right, in that case, let's go ahead and move on to this last one. This one is also really impressive. Go ahead and talk a little bit about this.
All right, so this is also made for round two. This one was made by Okesuzu, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but is called Samulnori. So Okesuzu is actually Korean, and during the second round, he was given East Asia as the theme. So he took it as an opportunity to show some, national pride and built something that's actually traditionally Korean. Um, in the description, he talks a bit about it. He says Samulnori is a traditional Korean musical troupe organized to play on 4 different agricultural instruments, none of which I will try to pronounce. And he includes a link to an actual Samulnori performance. So I think this was the first mock that was actually posted for this one, and I think it set a pretty high bar for the remaining contestants. It's a very simple mock, very elegant. A lot of attention to like color. The bulk of it is just like a nice black and white plain contrast, but then you see like his ornaments. Like he's got the red sash and like the things hanging off of his belt. I guess he's not entirely sure which instrument he's playing. I assume the drum, but the thing to actually hit it has like a little gold tassel on it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a nice like energy in the actual mock. Like it's not standing still. It's actually dancing. What you would expect a musician, like a musical performer, to do. The little tassel on the hat that goes out really far, like adds to the movement of the character. Like you can see he's leaning back, so that tassel would naturally like go that direction. So it helps give the mock itself some like dynamic movement. It was also something that I really wanted to see out of this round. I was really hoping that some entrants would get assigned the part of the world that they were from, and having it be the first one really felt good as a tournament organizer. I remember when this was posted, there's kind of a trend on Instagram that when someone posts a mock, people who like it will share it in their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when he posted this, another Korean member of the community posted it in his story with a caption that was like making Korea proud or something like that. And it was like, I remember seeing that and thinking like, yeah, that's what I wanted out of this round. That was a nice, fulfilling experience.
Interesting. No, that's fascinating, and I think this really goes to show just the diversity in skill of this contest. Like we've seen these 3 entries, and these are just 3, but they're very representative of how much technical knowledge these builders have and the different ways that they've all been implementing them. Like this creation is outstanding. Like it's got so many cool techniques that I wouldn't consider even thinking of. Like the hat, the way that he conveys movement. I love that leg design so much. And compared to the others, they're all 3 just super great creations, and they all use the pieces in such different and fascinating ways. And getting to see this is just the tip of the iceberg, and everything else is also incredibly well made. Like it's all really fascinating to look at. So seeing this, it's just awesome, and that's why I love like contests like these. Like they really just showcase fantastic creators and creations.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy that like you mentioned like diversity, and I think every year we've been doing this, we've had like times where judges have said to each other like, really, you've picked that one over this one, or like, oh, this was such a clear choice to me, where other judges are like really split on like that same sub theme, where it's like a judge mentioned this year that it's really nice that every judge clearly has like the same understanding of like what goes into excellent creations, but they still have different tastes, and they still have like, I won't say arguments, but there's still, I guess we just still have different tastes. Like there's, we don't all pick the same things. We don't all like the same things. We all have an understanding of like fundamentals, but we all have things like, not very rarely do we have a certain entry sweep its sub theme. Like we still talk about things we still like and want people to make unique, distinct things. It's, I guess a lot of it stems from people saying that like, the contest is rigged, or all the judges like just pick their friends or whatever. There was a lot of this talk about that this year, and initially it was kind of upsetting. And having actually gone through with the contest again, I just can't see it, because we all the judges clearly have very different tastes, and we still talk a lot about like, you know what should or shouldn't move on. Like, I don't know, I can recall some of the judges saying like, I'm surprised you're like debating this, because I thought this one was such a clear winner. Or other judges like I've been in situations like, oh, this is the clear winner, and I've had situations where it's like I don't know what to pick, and someone else tells me, oh, this is a clear winner, but then I'll pick a different one. And it's like, we don't want the contest to be so samey from everyone. We want people to really like express their own ideas.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes perfect sense to me. I get exactly where you're coming from, and having
Yeah.
recently gone through the gambit myself with a mock contest, I completely empathize, because you see all these incredible things, and then you talk about it with people, and you get these different perspectives, you get these different backgrounds, these points of view, that everyone is looking for the same thing, but what they think that is will differ from other people, and the reasons why are always so fascinating. And
Mhm.
that's why I don't know if I could really ever be a mock contest judge. Like, I've thankfully been spared of that thus far, because for me, who's not a mockist, everything is so incredibly impressive. And it's not to diminish any of the impressiveness of anything, it's just it's so far above my head. Like,
Mhm.
even these three are all incredible in such different and unique ways. And I don't know how I could pick any of them over the other in terms of technical skill. And
Mhm.
even their presentation is really good.
Yeah, that can be rough when you're, because the way we do is we have pools of three, and it can be rough when each one of them builds something very different from the other. Because like the phrase apples and oranges, like there are definitely sub themes where it's like, oh, it is like apples and oranges, and you don't quite know how to move on, because while they fit under the same sub theme, you can't judge them by the same standards. And it's like they're oftentimes equally good, and it's that can be difficult in a good way. It's like that's the kind of difficulty you want, where it's like you've done your job well, because people are building something incredible, and it's a testament to the strength of the theme. So it's, as hard as it can be to choose one, you still feel good on the inside. It's like what you were going for worked.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I completely understand. So I guess in that instance, what what were some hurdles that you feel like were run into this time, and what lessons can be garnered from that, and what are your hopes for the next one?
I think if there's anything that's definitely gone wrong with BioCup in since we've started on Flickr, is that the rules for it that you see on like the main contest page
Mm-hmm.
were mostly just copied and pasted from the mock pages rules. Um, and like the first year, it was just like direct and just swapping out the anything that didn't work because it was a new platform, and that led to some issues. And so we've been changing them slightly, basically when we needed to, with every year. Um, but I think with next year, I'm going to need to rewrite the rules entirely, and I'll use the current one as like a foundation. But you just can't take rules from one platform and move them to another one without like things not being clear or things not functioning properly. So I think from next year onward, it'll have to be a completely new like block of text for the rules, because sometimes there's just confusion on that. But the nice thing is that we have at least one new judge every year, and it's generally someone who participated the last year, not necessarily the winner, but someone. And so they always are able to like bring new things with them, telling us what worked and what didn't. And it's a very different experience. Someone like me who's always been a judge, at least on Flickr, and someone who has participated and then become a judge, like Rock Monster. We have very different experiences with the contest. I don't know what works well as a participant and what doesn't work well as a participant because I've never been one. So I hope that moving forward we can get more participant feedback. We're setting up a survey that participants can fill out, which should really really help. So I'm excited about that.
Fantastic. No, and it's important. It's an important part of the process to receive feedback and try and implement anything that you feel merits implementation. And it's a learning experience, and every time is so different and so varied. And I can definitely say now from experience, it's worth listening to your constituents in regards to how things operate. Because, yeah, it's a completely different perspective being on one side where you're not necessarily being affected by things that are being suggested or mandated or things along those lines, and then being on the other and being like, all right, here is what I have to present. Does this work? Is this creativity within the limitations proposed? So, that being the case, I'm super excited for next time. Is there any message that you have for aspiring mockists or community members that are hoping to enter next time, that are looking forward to it, that maybe they're on the fence? Maybe they're thinking, well, I mean, I want to enter, but I mean, I'm not that great of a mockist. Like, what would you say to people who want to, but aren't there just yet, but maybe should anyway?
Well, you don't stand. I mean, you stand to lose nothing. I guess it goes back to that saying of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It is like at the end of the day, it really is just like a contest, and it's here to like have something that the community can be excited about and something that you can do as part of the community, and it's something that we hope can be a nice positive experience for everybody. Um, and it's nice to be it's nice to be a part of things. It's nice to be in the big picture. They say about everything, anything competitive, it's not about winning, it's about having fun. And if it's not something you want to do, you don't have to do it. But if you want to do it, why not? Why not give it a chance? And you could really learn something. Like there are definitely some people who entered this year that came out of it so much better than when they were coming into it. I think it's done that every year, and you got nothing to lose. That's just my take on it.
All right, fair enough. In that case, I appreciate that. I appreciate the time you've taken to sit down with me today, because this contest has been phenomenal in setting out to inspire so many. I mean, I've been inspired looking at all the incredible creations and just the sheer volume of entries that people brought to the table, brought to the contest, and just created, and were just so expressive and involved. I always love seeing that. Obviously, I love seeing community involvement, community engagement, community activity. So, this was fantastic. Thank you to you for hosting it and to all of the other judges who hosted it. I'm excited for next year, and hopefully I can do a better job covering it, because I really think more people need to know about these contests, and I definitely think more people should participate. It definitely is nothing but a net good.
It means a lot.
All right. In that case, again, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. And is there anywhere you would like people to go? Any social media or anywhere you'd like people to head to check things out?
Yeah, we have every BioCup that I've been a part of has its own group page on Flickr. If you just go to any one of the group pages, you can go to a like I'm sure there's links to some of the other group pages. I think Lord Oblivion has set up a discussion thread that has the past ones in it, and he has galleries of every single theme of every round that we've done on Flickr. So you can also check his Flickr page, and you can check his galleries tab. You'd have to do that on desktop, but check his galleries tab. You can see everything that has been entered into the contest. So I'd suggest checking that out.
All right, fantastic. In that case, I will put any necessary links in the description below. So, of course, I encourage everyone to go check those out. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time. And to anyone who has listened to this, thank you for taking the time to listen to that. Go check everything out and leave your thoughts below on what some of your favorite entries were. And I guess in this instance, we'll see everyone, or at least as many as possible, for next year's BioCup. Have a wonderful day, and farewell.